So we're on live feed with Michael, and I'm going to turn it over. I don't know what to do. Just wait. There we go. So introduce yourself, Michael.
Hey,
Introduce yourself to the people.
I'm Michael. I'm just trying to be the father and the dad that I should be allowed to be, but the system won't. The system is so slow that for me, they're trying to the point where I'm upset and angry so it can be used against me. The only problem is I won't get mad because there's no point.
There's no point to it.
If I get mad, if my ex has been able to do anything and everything possible with broken court orders, with attempting to say she's in fear of her life, with attempting to say that I've done something to her daughter, to now trying to say I'm going to kidnap her, that all they're trying to do is prolong things and push my buttons so I get mad, but they obviously don't know who I am or what I'm about. And this last week with having a GPS tracker placed on us, that almost pushed me to the point of getting mad, but I didn't. I just nicely confronted them in front of the police and said, please don't ever do that again. And I gave the tracker back too. After I took the SIM card out and flushed it down the toilet, and I actually took the GPS tracker and attached it to a teddy bear my mom got her granddaughter and said, there you go, enjoy. But, the system itself is so flawed, is so wrong. The deeper you get down the rabbit hole, the deeper and harder it gets for a lot of people. And right now, what a whole entire group of us are trying to do is help whoever we can, men or women, because there's so many that this stuff is happening to. And for some, there's no way out for them. And the system does not care about the kids. The system cares about the money that they're going to generate in breaking families.
Yeah.
And, it's wrong. Where do the kids fall into all this? The cycle is going to keep repeating itself. More broken homes, more broken families, more men and women put into poverty. And the ones who win is the system, and the ones who lose are the kids. And statistics show that children need both parents. The statistics show on the men's side that if a child grows up in a fatherless home, how bad it can be. Now that's if a child has been abused in that, they shouldn't be. No, there should be zero contact as far as I'm concerned. But the system needs to change. The system is out for itself. The winners are the lawyers, the losers are the kids.
Exactly.
We need to, every group across this country, across this world needs to get together and more or less take the system down for what it is. It's a money-making business is all it is for them. They make money off the backs of children. They make money off the back of kids, and the kids suffer.
Yeah.
Grandparents suffer. Parental alienation is a huge thing. Nobody really wants to touch base on that. Politicians used to touch it. We've talked to politicians from one end of the country to the other. Nobody wants to touch it. And the odd one that has ends up without a job.
Well, what I don't like is that you are having a case where your ex is alienating you from your daughter.
Yep.
And I have a case where the court is trying to alienate me from my children. And so the courts don't regulate anything with regards to parental alienation. That's a problem.
Don't understand it. They don't even want to look at evidence of it. Like I have in front of me over 200 broken court orders where I am supposed to have FaceTime access with her daughter daily, and it's never been given since February the 10th because I find out the truth. And when a person starts to play the system like that, I I don't even know how, I don't even understand it myself, because what happens in the end is the child is the one that gets hurt.
Yeah.
I've been told, my lawyer has told me since the start, you lie about anything, we're done. And I said, don't worry about it. I was like, here's the truth. And I've been very upfront about everything since the start. In fact, like, since this GPS tracker was put on me, my mom has now refused to go out there. My mom hadn't seen her granddaughter since Christmas of 2015 until last week, and now is refusing to go out there because she feels she's being watched all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I have an older daughter who's going to be 24 right away. Got 2 grandkids that haven't seen their aunt since Christmas of 2015. That's not right.
And you raised your 24-year-old daughter, right?
Yep.
So.
Yep. Don't get me wrong. I had a lot of help from my mom and close friends and stuff, but yeah, it was me and her since she was about 2 months old.
Yeah.
So I know what this has been like since then. It's not fun. It's probably one of the hardest things a person ever has to go through in their life. And I wish this type of pain upon nobody. But the bottom line is, we all have to come together and make the system see what they're doing. They're getting away with it, and it's the politicians that have the power to do something, but they refuse to do it. So we as the people need to take that power back and make them see what they are doing. There's a lot of these politicians that claim they are Christian men. Time to prove it.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to touch it, and I want to know why. We have the right to know why they do not want to touch anything to do with parental alienation, why the system can get away with what they do, and how they do it. Because how they do it isn't even right. Where's in a Charter of Rights and Freedoms, where are our rights when it comes to being parents? We don't have any. The only rights we really have are the ones that they feel we need.
Well, one of the rights that we do have is that we're entitled to have a relationship with our children. Mm-hmm. Whichever way that shakes down, whether it's unsupervised, supervised, your basic right of being a Canadian citizen is that you're to have a relationship with your children. And not only is it your right, it's your child's right as well. And the courts are violating those rights. They're taking that right away from fully fit parents who are not able to see their kids because judges who are not trained, they're unqualified, making decisions to this effect where parents are not seeing their children.
Oh, exactly.
They're not an active parent in their life, and it's not right.
For a lot of guys, they want to be dads, but they're not allowed to be. I actually just got off I was on the phone with a lady from somewhere in Alberta, and the dad drops his son off on August the 20th and will not have contact with him again until Christmas.
Oh, jeez.
How was that?
What does that do for the child? Like, that's ridiculous.
It's not right.
Not right.
It's so wrong on so many levels, because that child is going to grow up thinking that the dad, or any child that is in that situation, grows up thinking the dad or the mom does not want them.
Yeah. And
that's not the case. You yourself, you could try to get a hold of your kids to talk to them, but the other side can come up with any story, any lie to get that child to believe what they're saying. All they have to do to a 2-year-old, 3-year-old is say, oh, they're busy. They're busy. Yeah. Then that gets stuck into a child's head, and they think, oh, dad's always busy, mom's always busy, he doesn't want to talk to me. Then that child becomes angry. You can't blame the child. It's the other parent that's doing it to them, which is a huge thing with parental alienation.
Yeah.
And that's the child's head up so bad.
Yeah.
And who's going to end it? We have to be the ones to end it. we need people in every province from coast to coast being at every political meeting there is, trying to talk to these politicians that could change things.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of people up in northern Alberta that have tried it. There's been a few that say, oh yeah, we'll look into it, but they don't.
Yeah.
They're only out for the votes. And I know this really sucks, considering that, I already raised one daughter on my own. And all I wanted, for me, I want 50-50 equal parenting. I want to be able to talk to our daughter daily, just to let her know Dad loves you, Dad misses you.
Yeah.
Dad wants to be there with you. It's not easy. And to know that there are lawyers out too that work the system for their favor so they get more of a paycheck is really freaking bad.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot also.
That happens too much.
It does. And like, this was my whole case was supposed to be done in June. But because summer was coming up, they tried to push it back so I wouldn't get any extra time with her daughter in the summer. I haven't gotten any extra time, even though I've asked every month.
Yeah.
She refuses to even acknowledge it, but I've asked her.
And what you get is 5 days a month?
5 days a month. Yeah, I drive from the southeast corner of Saskatchewan to Calgary. I pick her daughter up at the police station, which has actually been a godsend for me. Then I go to a friend's house in Airdrie and stay there. And, I've been very lucky that the people in Airdrie let me stay with them, because this has gone on for so long. I've got nothing left. Right. Very little money left to do anything. And so when I go out there, I have a place to stay. And so that part's been great.
And what kind of a relationship can you have with your child when you only have 5 days a month?
Very, very difficult, because I don't know, because of the lack of communication. I don't know from month to month if she's going to remember who I am or what's going to happen. There's been times where she's seen me and she's just screaming, Daddy, Daddy, Daddy. And other times where she's looking at me like, who are you and why are you here? Mm-hmm. And then it takes a little bit of time to remember, and then she's good. But you've got to remember, she's only 2. Mm-hmm. So the amount of stuff that can be put into a child's head from month to month, that could easily destroy a relationship.
Yeah.
She swore at me once. She hasn't done it again.
She's at an impressionable age where you can put fear into a child of that age, because there's not really the memories there. So
no.
It's an age where people can turn them against another person.
Yeah, and that's why the FaceTime contact is very, very important.
Yeah.
I've sat on the phone with her before February. I was allowed to FaceTime with her every day. There was times where she would actually FaceTime me. There was times where I would sit there trying to FaceTime with her daughter, and I would have baby wipes thrown over the phone so I couldn't see her. I'd have a talking Elmo being played for 15 minutes straight so she couldn't hear me. That kind of stuff is not right. And now, and then now, like I said before, with that tracking device put on us, I told the police I'll protect myself and my daughter and my mom when she was there. And they all agreed that I was probably going to have to.
Yeah. And
they told me, watch my back. And I will. And it's pretty, it's not against the law in Alberta, but it's still a pretty scary thing to know that you're being followed and watched, your every move that you're doing.
It's pretty sneaky anyway.
Surgery. We go from the pool to church to the splash park to the house, and that's all we do. Because I know I knew before if I left Airdrie, something bad was going to happen. I had a very, very bad feeling that day when I went out there, because for the last 3 months, the diaper bag has only had a blanket in it. And this time it was full, and I mean full. And when I got to Airdrie, I contacted a couple of friends in Alberta, and they said, you dump out that diaper bag and you check everything. And I did. I couldn't find nothing. The next day, something really didn't feel right. And I ended up taking it into the police. They checked it over, and I was really praying that they didn't find nothing. And the lady officer come back into the room, and I said, oh, you didn't find nothing, did you? And she goes, no, I did. I felt like I was sick the rest of the day and night over it. And that, me, is, you know when you're being stalked and watched, and your every move, and I couldn't get angry, but at the same time, I wanted to, but I couldn't allow myself to do that, because that is what they want. They want me to get angry. They want me to get mad, and that's just not me.
They want you to do something so they can hold it against you.
Yeah, and that's what happens to a lot. It doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman. That happens to a lot of us in these cases, because as soon as you do anything that they don't like, that they can use against you, they're going to use it against you.
Yeah.
You know, even walking down the wrong side of the street, if they can use it against you, they will.
Yeah, they will.
And it's not right. How are you supposed to actually? What we're doing now is existing. We're not living. We exist in this world, trying to get through day by day. When are we going? When is the system going to allow us to actually live our lives? Not looking over our shoulder, not looking behind us, but looking forward in a direction that's going to get us places. We shouldn't have to look side to side and behind us every move we make. We need to be able to live, not exist.
Yeah.
And the system wants us just to exist. The system wants us quiet. They don't want this out. They don't want people to be talking, because the more people talk, the more they learn, the more they understand. And then the system falls. So we need everybody to talk. Even if it isn't happening to you, people know somebody that it's happening to, and they got to get it out of their heads. This isn't happening to me. It's not my problem. It is your problem, because it could be your kid. It could be your grandkid. And then what are you going to do?
I know. It always comes back. You know,
it does.
It's not something that can be ignored, because it is a real problem in this country and every country. It's not just in Canada, it's everywhere. And it's a real problem, because the children are suffering, and they're being put through child abuse because of it. And being denied a parent is child abuse. Being denied a relationship with parent is child abuse. It's being told bad things about the parent, that's child abuse, and it shouldn't be allowed.
It is. Right now, we have a mutual friend I was talking to the other day. He said, this is unconfirmed, but in Lethbridge, Alberta, they said 1 man a week dies because of parental alienation.
Mm-hmm. Suicide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 1 man a week, that's 4 a month, that's 48 a year.
Is it just parental alienation, or is it the whole family court thing? Because the child support, everything like that, it just breaks everybody.
With a lot of the courts, because, a man or a woman, either or, it doesn't matter. And that's something we got to get rid of, is this gender stereotype. This only happens to men. It only happens to women. Well, I'm going to say something I usually don't say, but that's bullshit. It happens to both.
Yeah.
Now, it's not just the parental alienation. A man or a woman can go into the court system and be a happy-go-lucky person, be somewhat on top of the world, be looking forward to things. But then once they come out, they're a different person. And then they commit suicide, and then they're looked at as it's a mental health issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a mental health issue. It's a frickin' issue that the court systems have caused. It's an issue that parental alienation has caused. But nobody wants to talk about it. They want to pass it they want to put it under the blankets. They don't want to discuss it. They don't want to look at the real issues that are going on across this country. They want to keep us quiet, and we can't. The more people talk, the more it comes out.
And that's the key. Silent no more. We can't remain silent, because there's too many problems. And I think it goes deeper than parental alienation in the court. I think the court bankrupts so many people in terms of the lawyer fees, the court fees, being awarded court costs against you. I had to endure a 17-day trial that I tried over and over and over to stop. I couldn't get it stopped. I lost the trial, and the judge awarded $100,000 in costs against me because I lost the trial. I didn't even want the trial. $100,000.
Hey, but you're smiling.
That's not funny.
Hey, but look at it like this, though, okay? It sucks. Big time. There's one thing in this life that can come and go, and that's money.
Money is nothing. It doesn't... Like when I was in trial for the abduction, they had also charged me with flight from police. And they dropped the flight from police because it wasn't really flight from police. And they said, oh, I should just be happy that they dropped that because I would have my license at that point. And I said, well, charging me with abduction kind of cost me my children, And if you're asking me if I want my license or my children, there's no comparison. Like, take my license, Like, it's just crazy. But...
that's the other thing you just said about your license. I guess each province is different from province to province. But this child maintenance program...
Yeah.
That's another thing that pushes people over the edge.
Yeah, I think the child supports are too high. For average people. For average people, it's just too high. It bankrupts people so that they can't afford to live.
But you see, and I'm not sure what it's like in Manitoba, but I know in Alberta, everything has its fees. The recalculation program has fees. Everything has its fees. And out there, I believe the way it works is, say you have to give them, you go through the maintenance program, and you give them, they want, say $800 a month you have to pay for child support. There's a fee on top of that. Mm-hmm. They take these off first, and then they pay the rest out. But if you only have $800 and they're demanding $1,000, they still take their money out, and then you're already in arrears.
Yeah.
And how do you get out of that? Some people can't get out of it. Mm-hmm. And when does it? One guy we were talking to the other night, yesterday afternoon, he's paying $2,000 a month, and his ex didn't even have enough money to pay the rent in her apartment. She didn't have money to put food on the table. She didn't have money to buy milk. She refuses to go to work, and she's an accountant. So, everybody plays a role in everything. You can't, a man or a woman, because this happens to women too, a man or a woman cannot just sit back on the couch and expect the other person to pay their way through life.
Yeah. Because
they have a child. Everybody has a role to play. Everybody has a part to do. If you can afford to be a stay-at-home mom, cool. But this day and age, most people can't do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and things change too when you get a divorce. You may very well agree to be a stay-at-home parent when you're married, but when you get a divorce, that changes. Yet a lot of people think that it's going to continue because of the child support and the spousal supports, and I find that they're too high. Like when I was a kid and anybody was getting child support, it was like $100, which was nothing. You could.
I would actually like it to go back to the way that the laws were back in the 80s and 70s and 60s. Because prior to 1983, if you could, I believe it was 1983, if you could, 73 or in the 60s, if you could prove that the other side, there was adultery involved, you did not get alimony. If you could prove, but in the 80s, then all of a sudden it became free reign. You could go and get divorced for any reason in the world. At one time, the only way you could get a divorce was if you could prove adultery or if you could prove, if there was abuse. Other than that, you couldn't get a divorce. In the 80s, they opened it wide open. All of a sudden, Sam down the street wasn't making $200,000 a year anymore. The wife or the husband, it doesn't matter who it is, didn't like that fact, and all of a sudden they were getting divorced over money. Yeah. Money is the dumbest thing on the planet to get a divorce for. The institute of marriage not gone down the tubes. It's a contract. There's no... It's sad. It's gone completely sad the way it is now. Mm-hmm. So when you child into this world, you know, what are we actually teaching the children? You have an argument, you have a fight, it's okay to get divorced. Mm-hmm. Whatever happened to working through things? Whatever happened to fighting for your marriage? Whatever happened to love and respect? There isn't any. Most people now, men or women, look at it as though it's about the money. It's all about the money.
Not always.
Pardon?
Not always.
Not always, but if there, like I said, if there's abuse, all the power to them for getting out of it. All the power to them. It's just a really sad world we live in right now. Yeah. And like I said, the kids are the ones that are losing out on everything.
They lose out on everything. And I don't understand parents who want to deny the other parent any access to the kid because it just hurts the child.
And what is the one thing you can never get back is time. Once you give someone, get it back. You can't get tomorrow back. Yeah. We're all losing time with our kids that we so desperately want and deserve and need, but we can't get it back. And
I know. You know, I read this quote once from this judge who was doing somebody's divorce, and he said on the stand that, you know, the parents need to stop fighting each other and stop ripping each other down in front of the kids, because the kids are half you, half the other person, and when you rip down the other person, you're ripping down half the kid, and it makes them feel bad, and you need to stop that.
I actually read that article, and I showed that to my wife one day because that was a consistent thing going on. She read it, she sent it to her first husband, and for about 2 weeks, there was none of that going on anymore. But then it slowly started back again. And that's completely true. Like, a child is 50% you, 50% the other person.
It doesn't matter what you think about me. You know, it doesn't have any place in front of the kid. And it doesn't matter if you like me or hate me or love me or dislike me. The child loves me, you know? And that's the way it is for the other parent, and you should respect that. What was that?
Exactly. It's you know, when you're not with your spouse anymore.
It's censoring children on telling them who they can and cannot like and love.
Yeah, and you know, with that being said, there's something that you know, hate is learned.
Yeah.
Love is natural.
Yeah.
When a child learns hate, that ain't cool. It's not right. On so many levels, that's not right. And really, if you can, parents, doesn't matter, like I've said a million times, men or women, parents have to realize they have to love their child more than they dislike or hate their ex.
Yeah.
If they can focus on their child and the well-being of their child and what's in the best interest of their child, things would be a lot different for a lot of people. But there's so many people that are hell-bent on hate.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep the child from the other person because it hurts them. They're not looking at the hurt they're causing the children, though.
Yeah. They're just satisfying their own need.
Exactly. And that's not right. Because that child eventually is going to grow up, is going to learn the truth. And then it all falls back on the other person. Mm-hmm. Like, when I consistently, I write to my oldest daughter. She made up an email account for her sister. And I write to her, I send her pictures, you know, The only time I get to tell her I love her is when I have her or through emails. So I'm consistently trying to do that, consistently trying to call. I've been threatened. I've actually been threatened at one time by the police to stop, and I won't. I've been told by her, this is harassment. Well, this isn't about you. This is about a relationship with her daughter. Why? And I've asked the question, why will you not allow a loving relationship between a daughter and a dad?
Mm-hmm.
I don't get an answer. Do I want to work with my ex? Yeah. For our daughter's sake? Yes, I do. Hard to do, though, when the other person won't do it.
It's hard to do when there's so much hate coming from one person. And
yeah.
It's not
and to this day, I still don't know what for. I racked my head around that for about 6 months, 7 months, and finally I just said, you got to stop.
Some people are just like that when you split up, It's like, well, you split up, it's over, it's done, chop you off, go away, see you and don't want to see you again, goodbye, And
in some circumstances, if there's no kids involved, you could do that.
Yeah.
But when there's kids involved, you're tied to that person really for the rest of your life.
For the rest of your life because of the kids. And
yeah.
I don't know. My ex is like that. He's just, I don't know. He's been married. He was married twice before me, which I didn't even know about. But he doesn't have a relationship with any of his exes, and he's got kids with one.
Isn't that ironic? How you don't really? Do you really know the person that you're involved with? I didn't know half of the things about my wife until after we got married.
Yeah.
Then all the truth started to come out. But at that time, I was like, okay, well, we married each other, for better or for worse. I'm seeing this through.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't. I thought I knew everything about her, and I didn't. And like you said, for you, not knowing that he was married before, that's a big one.
Yeah.
How do you wrap your head around that?
2 times before me. That's
and how do you wrap your head around it?
You don't. I that's the information I would have wanted to know, because at that point I don't know. I think that there is a problem at that point because, how do you... I know it's not easy to maintain a relationship and keep a relationship going and stuff like that, but to get married and divorced twice, to have each marriage last 1 year or less, that's a lot, And
yeah.
I don't know. So
and
now he's on to his 4th marriage, and I don't know.
Well, and if you would have known that, it might have changed things.
Yeah. I would not have gotten involved with him. I could be honest. If I'd known a lot of things, I would not have gotten involved with him at all, because
no doubt.
There's just too many things there. But you know what? You can't go back. It's over and done with. Now you have to deal with it, and I don't know.
You got to keep moving forward.
You just got to keep moving forward. That's all you can do.
You cannot allow the past, what has happened, to dictate what you were going to do and how you are going to do it now.
Yeah.
And for me, that's been one thing that I've had to really, really focus on is, at one time I got a very, very long letter in the mail calling me every name in the book. I was everything negative you could imagine. I was told I'd never supported our family in any way. And the more I read it and the more I read it, the more I started to believe it, even though I knew it wasn't true. I used to get phone calls at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning while I was at work asking to come home because she needed me, so I'd be there. Mm-hmm. I got a picture sent to me on Facebook. It said, thank you for supporting our family in every way possible. We love you. Can't wait to see you. Can't wait till you're not working. But to be told those negative things, once you allow that negativity in there to play on you, start to believe it, your own mind goes to a dark place. So for a lot of these people that are in these situations, it's very important for them to talk, to have a support group, to be able to have people listen to them, even to have a shoulder to cry on from time to time.
Yeah.
Everybody needs that. Nobody has to go through this alone. Nobody should go through this stuff alone. that's the other thing that the system wants. They want us to be quiet. They want us to be secluded to ourselves so nobody knows what's going on.
They don't want us to find each other. Especially when you're in the same town with the same judge, with the same assessors, with the same everything. They don't want you to find each other because then you know what's going on. You're able to piece it together and to show the corruption that is going on in the system.
And if they can be exposed, well...
It needs to be exposed.
It has to be.
Yeah.
The whole flipping system needs to be exposed. This just isn't an issue in Canada or the U.S. This is going on everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Worldwide. And no politician nowhere wants to really look at it. They don't want to look at they don't want to see why people are dying, why people commit suicide. There was a case out in BC a couple of years ago where a guy and his wife, they both worked for CN Rail, and they had 2 or 3 kids. He had a back injury. He couldn't work. They ended up going through court, and she was awarded twice of the amount of money that he made. He committed suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? It was looked at as a mental health issue. It wasn't a mental health issue before they went into the system.
I know. The system gives you mental health issues. I tell you that.
They do. They really do. And it's a sad thing because, like I said before, the system makes money off the backs of children. They're making money off of parents. Child protective services. We try to tell people if they can, stay away from them.
Yeah.
Once a child is in there, you don't know what's going to happen.
I know. I just wanted to say that, I've had a number of conversations with you over the last month or whenever I started talking to you. I just wanted to say that I have a lot of respect for you because you've told me a lot of things that your ex has done, and you have not tried to take her down or take full custody of your daughter. You're only trying to get what you're entitled to, which is half time, instead of trying to take from her, because in my opinion, from things that you've told me, you have a lot there to go after sole custody, and I have to say I have a lot of respect for you that you're not attempting to do that you're trying to do what's right for your daughter, because it doesn't matter. Parents are required in a child's life, even if they're not the greatest parent. Of course, kids have to be safe and everything, but I'm happy to hear that you're not trying to take her out of her life, because a lot of the things that you tell me, there are things that a lot of these women that I do talk to, their ex would just love to have that and to take the children away, because they've taken the children away with less than that.
Yeah, you see, I firmly believe it's like what you had said, a child is 50% mom, 50% dad. So, when you're married, when you're together, you see that child, you see your wife all the time. Just because the two are now not together should not exclude one parent from seeing the child 50% of the time.
Right.
And no, I don't want to take her away from her. I do think there are some issues, but, or I know there are some issues, but I mean, would I ever try to take her away from her? No. I firmly believe also that as long as there's no abuse going on, both parents are needed.
Both parents are needed.
And it really, it crushes me daily knowing that I make my phone call and I know I'm not going to get to talk to her, but I have to continue to do it.
Yeah.
I send my email. Doesn't matter. But now the police are all that.
Mm-hmm.
Broken court orders is a criminal offense. And all I want is time with her daughter. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I want. I want my family to know her. And it kills me each day knowing that, they don't get to.
I know. Children suffer too much from all of this. You know, it's heartbreaking, really. You know, when I was growing up, and this makes me sad for my kids because my mom has passed away, but one of the most important people in my life when I was growing up was my grandma, my dad's mom. She was with us from the time we were small, like 2, right up until she died 5 years ago. But some of the greatest moments I have were from knowing my grandma, from things that she did. And kids need that just as much as they need their parents and their friends. They're also isolated and alienated from their friends if they're not allowed to go to the other parent or, you know.
And parent or grandparents have rights.
Grandparents have rights. And it's hard, though, because everything takes money, and the delays in the court system is another problem. In order to get your rights, could take you a year to get into court. By then, a year has gone by without you having seen the kid, and if the kid is so small, they're not going to remember.
Oh yeah, definitely. I completely agree. Like, I know for our baby girl, when she first seen my mom, she kept on saying, "I'm gonna see grandma, grandma play," and then when she seen her, she was hesitant, and I understand it. And after about 10, 15 minutes, then she was sitting on her knee, and then she was saying, "Grandma, play." I didn't even exist, and I was like, whatever. Mm-hmm. You know, they were playing. I was good with that. But it's just a simple fact that so many grandparents, I know a lot of grandparents that this is happening too, and all they want to do is spend time with their grandkids. Yeah. And it takes and I'm sorry, maybe this is the wrong word, but I don't think it is. It takes a wrong kind of evil to keep a child from their grandparents.
It does.
It's evil to keep a parent away, but it's a different kind of evil to alienate a grandparent. Like, grandparents have so much to teach the kids.
So much.
And to alienate them, that is a different kind of evil.
Yeah.
And biblically speaking, that's so wrong. Like, that is so wrong. I won't get all theological, but I could, because this stuff just really ticks me off, but I won't. But it's wrong.
I know. So wrong. It is so wrong.
And I just want everybody out there that's watching this or sees it to know they're not alone. There's thousands upon thousands of us all going through this daily. And it's starting to happen to more and more and more people every day of the week.
Yeah. We need to all stand up and let our voices be heard so that we are heard. As one, we're not loud enough.
I'm just gonna do it then. I'm gonna do it. Biblically speaking, we are supposed to be the voices for the ones that don't have a voice.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be the ones to stand up for the ones that can't stand up for themselves. But for some reason, we've got a government that is supposed to be run on biblical theories, but they don't do it.
Yeah.
So who has to be the ones to do it? We have to. We've got a government that don't care. The people are the ones that have to care and have to be the ones willing to stand up to do it. And without us, just drives me nuts.
I know.
Yeah, I could go on for hours, but I won't. It literally, you know, this Father's Rights group that I'm involved with in Alberta, we've got over just about 5,000 people involved. It's not all people from Alberta. There's people from all over the country. We've got people in the States that ask us for advice. It's not men, and it's men and women that come to us. You know, we don't look at it as though the title is Father's Rights, but it's actually children's rights, because a parent's rights are the children's rights too.
Yeah.
And the question I got is, what is it going to take for things to change? How many people, how many men, how many women have to die? How many kids have to be, 12, 13, 14 years old, pregnant, or hooked on drugs? How many kids have to be put in jail and become statistics before the government decides to make change?
Exactly. When I was in jail, 90% of the ladies in jail are from CFS. They were raised in CFS. They were taken away from their parents for probably reasons that shouldn't be taken away. In Manitoba, we have more children in care than any other province. 13,000 kids in care here. They take a newborn baby a day here in Manitoba. And it affects these kids. They take them because the parents are drinking, the parents are doing something. Well, you know what? Go open the doors of many of the CFS workers. They are drinking in their homes. They are doing the same sort of stuff. And instead of trying to get them some help, they take the kids away and then they turn them into where they're spending their life in jail.
Have you ever heard of the I believe it's called the Scoop Children?
Yeah.
Okay, CFS.
From the residential.
That's the new one. CFS is now the same thing.
CFS is the new residential school system. It's the exact same. They're taking kids for nothing. And you know, if you're in the native CFS, which because I'm in Winnipeg, there's most of the children in CFS are native. They don't adopt their kids out.
Nope.
They don't adopt their kids out, but the white man CFS, if you want to call it, do forced adoptions. They don't give parents an option or help to get the kids back. And that's wrong too.
They don't. It's I don't even know how to explain it.
There's a native band here that's now doing where they, when protection is required, they throw the parents out of the house. And they send someone into the house to live with the kids until the parents can clean up and come back in. They don't uproot the kids from their life, from their friends, their materials. They stay in their home. And that's a good thing.
That is. You said that's another different natives move in, right?
Yeah, like
that's not bad.
I find that the natives are more willing to move with they're more willing to help families get back together instead of separating them. And yeah. Some kids do need protection. I'm not saying that they don't. But why do we not try to help them? I mean, if they're being beaten and stuff like that, yeah, okay. Then the kids need to be taken away from that. But there are some things that you can go in there and you can help them with. Send someone in to live with them. So, you know, help them out instead of taking them away, because taking them away causes a whole lot more problems to the kids than growing up with an alcoholic.
Causes more problems, but I think you know the answer to that one already. Money-making business.
Well, that's just it. Because there'd be a lot less jobs in the CFS if they did what was right.
And that's what this whole thing is. Money-making business.
They get something like $100,000 if they adopt out a child. Did you know that?
That much?
That much.
Now you see why they do it.
Yeah.
They make money off of kids.
They make money off of it. But the native bands will not adopt out their children, so, you know.
And they should.
Some of them they should. When they're taking them as babies, they should give them a life, you know, with people who love them. Because you know what? You can't pay somebody to love your child. You can't pay somebody to raise your child properly. I don't believe in foster care. I don't believe that children can be... children are better to be raised with love than to be ripped away from their home. And when you're paying somebody $22 a day as a foster wage to look after your child, they don't love your child.
No, it's a business.
It's a business.
It's a business, and that happens so everywhere. It happens now. Like it's such a sad world. I know I've got a lot of friends down in the States now and it happens there like you wouldn't believe. They just go in and take the kids with no cause. If there is cause, if there is abuse, if there's neglect, malnutrition and all that, yeah, I completely agree with it.
Yeah.
Some people, they're just walking into the hospitals after the baby is born and taking them.
Taking them right off them while they're breastfeeding. There's a post on the page there the other day. Mother was breastfeeding the baby, and they came in and grabbed the baby.
Yeah, And why? For what reason?
I don't know.
Allegations that aren't proven? Prove it. We're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. But in a lot of these cases, you're guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah.
It's back. It's completely backwards. And that's where, for me, I flat out and told them in the DRO, I said, I've done this before. I was 17. I raised a kid on my own. Why am I being looked at as though I've done something wrong?
Yeah.
I've done nothing wrong. But I've had to prove that I can be a dad, that I can be the father that I'm supposed to be. Anybody can be a dad. Anybody on the planet can be a dad. But to be a father, it takes something different.
Mm-hmm.
A dad is just somebody that's there to pay a bill, to throw out money. A father is there to do the same things, but also to show the love and compassion, to teach, to nurture.
Spend some time with them.
Pardon?
Spend time with the child.
Exactly. And that's what's so many dads and moms just want to do that, but they're not allowed to.
Yeah.
They have to continuously prove themselves for reasons unknown. Like I was talking to a guy a few hours ago here. He's from out east. He sees his child every Saturday and Sunday for 4 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
But he lives in a small town and he has to have supervised visits with his mom there. But when he has his child, if it's raining out, there's nothing to do. He doesn't feel comfortable in having his child sitting in a stroller for 4 hours walking around the mall.
Mm-hmm.
Now his ex wants to cut that back to every other weekend. For what reason?
Yeah.
There's no allegations. Like sometimes the allegations, if they're founded, okay. If there's potential abuse, drugs and that, okay, I understand that. But in so many cases it's allegations because of hate.
Yeah.
Hate does not solve anything. Hate brings upon more hate.
And the children get lost in it. Just
Exactly.
like what Jacqueline said. Jacqueline has a post on here that says, "Love the child." That's what we should do. That's what it needs to be, is love the child. Stop neglecting the children and put the children first.
Yeah. I remember when our daughter was born and she was a premature baby, and I was constantly in the NICU with her. And this might sound a little crazy, but nurses didn't seem to care. They just told me to turn it down. I would go in there at about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning every day of the week, and I'd have my phone with me, and I'd have her laying on my chest, and I'd play Bob Marley, One Love. Every day, and Three Little Birds every day. We would listen to that, and there'd be other people walking around, and I'd be like, hey, sorry about that. And they're like, no, we like it. Keep it going. So, that'd be an everyday thing. Now I don't get to do that. It is nice, though, when I do have her daughter, when she goes to bed and I put her in her crib, the first song we listen to before she goes to sleep is One Love every day. Every day. It's all everything is supposed to be about love, not about hate.
Yeah.
So, but this parental alienation, the system, it's got to be looked at. There's got to be changes.
There has to be changes in both sides of parental alienation, because there are two sides of it. Somebody claims it when there's abuse allegations made. That is something that needs to go away, because I do not believe for a second that there's that many people out there that lie like that, No. That's what I mean. Like, maybe I missaid it, but allegations are allegations. Yeah.
Unless there's proof behind those allegations, like I know some of the stuff that was alleged towards you. It's allegations.
Yeah.
Prove it. You should not have to prove you're innocent. They should have to prove you're guilty.
Exactly. Well, I got accused of emotional abuse because I got accused of turning my children against their father. However, I haven't been found, they haven't There was no evidence of it, and it was never substantiated. But when you're accused of turning a kid against the other parent, that's what they claim is emotional abuse.
And it's an allegation.
It's just an allegation. And unfortunately, when it comes out in a divorce, you're pretty much guaranteed that you're going to lose your children over it, and that's wrong. Because they never look into it deep enough. And my children never really had a relationship with their father, even when he lived in the house with us.
And that's the thing. Like a lot of these people, I've sat in a courtroom enough over the last 4 or 5 years that a lot of these people that go into a courtroom, unless it's a trial, you've got 5 to 10 minutes to plead your case, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're done. Well, a lot of these things need to be looked at. They need to be investigated, not in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Time needs to be taken. But like I know out in Alberta, everything is so backed up because of the oil field crashing that like the divorce rate went through the roof.
Yeah.
Suicide rates went through the roof. Everything did. And it's nobody cares. Government don't care. You know, we got to change it. We are the ones that have to change it. We need a politician in each province that is willing to stand up and say, okay, we need to look at this.
Yeah.
Who is going to do it, though? That's the question. Doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman. Which politician is going to have the balls to do it?
That's the other thing, is they have to have the balls to do it, because no one ever seems to do, you know. And
Yeah.
I think they'd get a whole lot more votes if they started doing stuff like that, because it is a problem. It's an epidemic is what it is. And,
Yeah.
And it needs to stop.
It is known as, I know for what they call it, it's a silent epidemic.
Yeah.
They want us silent.
It's something they cover up all the time. They won't admit it in court.
I've tried to talk, and they've been threatened to have their kids taken away.
You got something on your speaker
Oh.
or microphone.
Is that better or
Better,
no?
yeah.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, but I know a few people out in Alberta that used to that did talk,
Yeah.
and they threatened with having their kids taken away.
Yeah.
But that hasn't kept them quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Well, you can't fall to their threats. Like when I told Child Protective Services here that I was going to go to the media for the things they were doing, they threatened to charge me. I was
With
like,
what?
go ahead. Because my kids are in care. CFS has guardianship over my kids, and you're not supposed to disclose names of kids in care, so they were going to charge me with it. And I was like, well, go right ahead.
What else can they do to you?
What can you do to me? Exactly. Once you took my children, that was it, you know. And I don't know. I'm not going to shut up. So they're doing wrong. My kids come from a good background.
What?
We have we are not poor, homeless. Nobody's an alcohol. Well, my ex-husband is an alcoholic, but I mean, in my home, my family's home, because CFS is violating their mandate by not placing my children with kinship. They separated them, and I don't even remember what my thought was going to be with this. I lost my train of thought.
That's all good.
It just went. But anyway, they threatened me that they were going to charge me because I was going to go to the media, which, by the way, I still am.
Good.
And, yeah, they threatened to charge me, and I said, well, what are you going to do? You going to throw me in jail? I was in jail when I said that. Go ahead. You don't have far to throw me.
That's a good one. That is funny.
Yeah.
That's a good one. But no, like, they can threaten you all they want, but what can they really do? Like
they can't do anything. It's just a tactic to shut you up. Just like I was saying on an earlier video of a lady I was talking to, a friend of mine here. She gets a letter from CFS telling her that her daughter better not make another allegation or she's going to take her children away from her. How can you control what your children say?
You can't.
You can't. And why should you say to your child, stop talking, stop telling people what's the matter? It's just not right.
No, it's not right, because if you start telling children, don't tell the truth, don't talk, don't speak, you have a silent society.
Exactly.
And a silent society is very controllable.
Yeah.
You can be controlled, then they own you.
It's dangerous to be silent.
It's cancer.
They just keep coming with worse and worse and do more. And the more quiet you are, the worse it'll become for you and for everybody else. Like, you have to stand up, because even though it may not help you, it may help the next kid that comes along. It may help the next family,
You are supposed to help yourself, but you're also supposed to help. You should be doing your best to help your fellow man, your fellow woman.
Yeah. Well, when you help other people, good things will come to you.
Yeah. Oh, that's my phone. There it is. But no, it's very true. Like, everybody in these situations need help.
Yeah.
We're not, and I know there was a post made the other day about, and I kind of feel bad about it now, but I was like, no, silence is like a cancer.
Yeah.
It is, and I understand some people are afraid to talk, but that's what they want. They want you to be afraid. They want you to shut up. They don't want the truth to come out.
Yeah.
It may take time for that truth to come out, but eventually it will.
It will come out.
Hope some people that are afraid to talk, it's not too late.
Yeah. That's the problem, is when you get into the situation, you never know what to do. And unfortunately, your lawyer always tells you, remain silent, do as you're told, don't create waves. So you follow along, you remain silent, you don't create waves.
Not mine.
Nothing happens.
Not mine.
And then suddenly, one day, your children run away. You pick them up on the side of the road. And then the next thing you know, you're charged.
Ain't that fun stuff?
Yeah.
No, that's not cool. But I mean, like, a child will, I can't remember what the age usually is, but say 10, 11, 12, if a child runs away, there's a very good reason for it.
Exactly.
And if a child, the other parent, that's not the parent's fault. That's not the parent's fault that they ran to. They're supposed to have the door open for that child at all times.
Yeah.
Well, your kids ran to you. How the hell can you get in trouble for that?
I know. You know what I was just made an example of, and it is what it is, and I've embraced it because it's given me the ability to help myself.
Yep.
Without it, I wouldn't be in this. I wouldn't be able to do what I'm able to do now, because.
What's that?
What's that?
Yeah. What is that?
What I can do now?
Yeah.
Well, because I lost custody in court as a parental alienator, that is next to impossible to overturn. It's impossible. I don't even know how many people have ever overturned that, but it's next to impossible. Because of what happened to me, I have a lot of attention on to me. So, and I have people who are willing to help me, whereas if this had not had happened, I would not have a chance.
People.
What's that? Well, and I can help people, yeah.
And that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And that's something you should embrace and be happy for and joyful for, that you can actually reach out to somebody and help them.
Yeah.
That is this crap.
I know. And
to a point, they won't have to, maybe, they won't have the hardships that you've had through it all.
Yeah. It's going to be hardship because the phone here is ringing, but I'm not going to answer it. It's going to be hardship for any parent because it's very hard to deal with not having your children. And it's one of the biggest pains a parent, mother or father, can go through is to not have your children.
You know, through that pain, there's also things that happen throughout each day that you can be thankful for, even though there is that pain there.
Yeah.
You still have your health, you still have a roof over your head, you still have food, you still have your friends, you have people to talk to, you have people to confide in. Even though there is that pain there and it's a constant pain, there are things that are going on around you that are blessings. There are things going around you that you can help others with, which is huge for other people. You know, for me, with what I do, with the work I do for the Father's Rights Group, that helps take my mind off of things at time. Because there was days where I didn't know if I was going to get through the day. There was nights that I would sleep but not sleep.
Yeah.
Days at work where I didn't know if I was going to get through a day at work. But it's the people around me that know me, that can say to me, you know, we know who you are and what you're about.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going, keep moving ahead, man. You're doing good. And you need those uplifting people through these times to pick you up when you fall.
Yeah.
I'm babbling again.
That's the way it is.
Try not.
Mm.
I try not to, but I do from time to time.
It's hard when you get onto this subject not to.
Well, it is. It is like, I know some days are harder than others now because of what I know.
Mm-hmm.
Because of what I've seen. The experience is one the experience is one thing, but to know that there's men and women out there that are on the verge of killing themselves over it, that's another level of it all.
That's a whole other story. I know.
You know, to talk to some of those people that are talking about it, it's not fun. It's not easy. It's scary to talk to them about it.
Yeah.
Once they get into how I'm doing it and this is when I'm doing it, and then they get off the phone with you and then you don't hear from them for 2 or 3 hours. That's scary.
Yeah.
Constantly worry about those people. And so what we do is, you know, when we get those calls and stuff, we try to stay in touch with them as often as possible. You know, to talk them off that ledge, and to get them to realize that, you know, if you do this is one thing, but if death is permanent, your child is the one that suffers in the long run because of that.
You can't take it back.
You can't. That's one thing that you can never take back. You know, there's only the 2 guarantees in life, and that's taxes and death.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the one to cause your own death.
Well, I don't think that the family court or any court should have such jurisdiction over somebody's life to where they can take absolutely everything from you.
No, they shouldn't have. They should not have.
That's way too much power.
Way too
anything.
much power. Oh, when you've got a system within the government like MEP that can take your passport, your license, they can restrict you from having a job if you don't have a license. They can take everything from you and garnish your wages. I know a guy had 2 freaking months of his wages taken from him.
Mm-hmm.
How do you eat? How do you survive? You know, when they have that kind of power, they're doing their best to control you.
Yeah.
There's becoming more and more women now that are refusing to get married because of what could happen after.
The consequences of going through a divorce are way too high nowadays.
They are. It's literally, it could be a death sentence for somebody if you get a divorce.
Yeah,
you know,
really could be.
The cost of lawyers, the length of period of time it takes to get through that, and then if you had children in the middle of the mix, it's
and if you don't have the money to hire a lawyer either, that's a problem because you're not going to get a fair shake in court if your ex has a lawyer.
No, you're not. You are not going to get a fair shake. There's too many people, too, that go through the court systems that try to self-represent, that a judge won't even listen.
Yeah.
And, you know, there was a guy out in Alberta, he was more or less told to shut up.
Yeah.
Get a lawyer. I can't afford a lawyer. Well, find a job.
Yeah.
No matter what he does.
Yeah.
You know, and it happens to everybody. There's a woman that actually is out from Alberta. She got a job in Toronto. She moved the kids to Toronto with her. It was okay to do it all. Kids hated it there. Her and her ex agreed the kids would come back to Alberta and live with him. And when she moved back there, he refused to give the kids back. And the kids wanted to go, but nope. And now she's going through maintenance and everything and finding it extremely hard to do so. Extremely hard to get through each day.
Yeah.
And the stress that is put upon her, like, it's just not stress that's getting her. Now she's got health issues because of it all. Not good health issues either, like heart issues and that. And it's slowly killing her.
Well, that's what stress does to you. Like, it really affects you in every way. It just... That is what family court is. It's stress.
Well, that GPS tracker that night when I went to bed, I was throwing up that night because of it. Because I could not believe that my ex would stoop to a level that low.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
And me being me, I went into full protection mode.
Yeah.
I was watching vehicles drive by. I knew they had driven by a few times.
Yeah. To see where it was, or because
Pardon?
You think they were driving by because you removed the chip from it and it was no longer working?
I know they drove by. No, they were driving by to see where we were staying. They were driving by to see who was at the house with us. All of that. 2 days in a row, same time, 6:30 to 7:30 at night. Between 6 and 7:30 at night, they drove by. And I know it was them. I can't prove it, but I know it was them. I know when we took her, when I took our daughter to the park, I know we were being watched there. And me being me, my mom was playing with her, and I was checking the vehicles out to see which one was there, which one wasn't there. I wasn't being paranoid. At one time I was told, I think you're being a little paranoid. I was like, no, I'm not. I know I'm being followed. I know I'm being watched. I've got a gut feeling, and my gut is not wrong.
Mm-hmm. And then it ruins your time with your daughter because you're on guard.
Yeah. They tried to. I did my best not to let it happen. I had a few moments where, I that could have happened, but, with that being said, there was a lot of praying going on. It was my faith that got me through that weekend because I literally wanted to I wanted to become mad, but I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just me. A lot of people go the other way and do get mad and do things, and then they lose all hope.
Well, they use it against you. That's what they want you to do. And it's hard. It's difficult not to get mad because, you're tested it's too much test. And it's not putting the kids first, and that's what the problem is.
Kids got to come first.
Kids have to come first.
And that's just sad. And we've said this a lot tonight. The hatred for the other person has to be thrown out the window, and the love for the child has to be looked at first.
Yeah.
You're smiling again.
I don't know. I was just reading the comments. There's a few comments.
That's all right.
Some comments, so... Some people are watching us on a Saturday night. I guess we're not the only ones without a life. Where we're sitting on Facebook on Saturday night.
I got a life. My life starts about, finishes about 11 in the morning usually when I'm done at the gym.
Yeah.
But no, it's all good. It's all good.
I'm just kidding. I don't have a life.
Yeah, you do. Quit saying that.
I'm sitting on Facebook on a Saturday night.
Well, what else would you rather be doing?
Well...
You can't do it past 10 o'clock, remember that.
I know. I'm on bail. I'm owned and controlled by the government.
There you go. Not for long, though.
Not for long. It's almost over.
That's right. And that's something you got to continue to look at.
Yeah.
Every day, even the days where you're finding it really tough, you just got to keep telling yourself it's almost over. It's going to be over.
It's almost over. Yeah.
That's right. Don't ever forget that.
Yeah. It's all good. I'm all right with it. I just want my children back. That's all.
Yeah, and you will have them.
It's coming.
It is coming. You got to believe that, and you got to, like some people will say, throw that out into the universe. But you know what I think about that. It's going to happen. It won't happen in the time you want it to. I believe it'll happen in God's time, but it will happen. If it was up to you, you'd have them back already.
I know.
But there's a plan put in place for you.
There's a plan put in place, and I do believe it's coming because I've had a very big break in my case.
Good.
And I'm
One day.
going to get them back. What's that?
That's excellent, isn't it?
It is excellent. Finally.
Oh, that's good. That's cool.
Finally.
That's good stuff.
So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
I'm going to jump off the phone, though, okay?
Yeah, it's time to go.
Alrighty. Have a good night.
Thanks
Say hi to
for
everybody.
joining us. And I'll talk to you later.
You betcha.
All right. Bye.
Okay, bye.